Welcome to the Met Office 10-day trend. It's a good job this isn't the forecast for 2 weeks from now, because then we'll be going into Christmas week and people would get very excited at the mention of the S word. But we are expecting some snow showers next week in places. It is going to turn much colder, particularly through the weekend. Frost and ice will return. Where's the snow going to be? Well, I'll have more on that in just a moment, because first of all, we've got to get through the rest of this week, which is providing some very lively weather of a different kind. It's pretty mild out there for most for the next few days. There'll be further bouts of rain that could cause some problems and some strong winds, especially so on Friday. Now, although we're talking about mild weather, Wednesday started pretty cold across the north. Since then, this big blanket of cloud has moved in, and there's more where that came from. We're looking out in the Atlantic, lots of lumps of cloud, areas of low pressure. But actually, it's this little bump in the cloud that's getting most of our attention at the moment. It's a developing area of low pressure. Let's put the jet stream on, that fast-moving ribbon of air high up in the atmosphere, and just watch over the next day or so. That jet stream picks up that ripple, turns it into more of a bump, and then eventually it spins up an area of low pressure. And that area of low pressure, as it approaches the UK over the next 48 hours, really intensifying. Lots of isobars on the charts on Friday. It is going to be a windy day with sunshine and showers, broadly speaking. But the strongest winds will be closest to the low pressure. You can see them wrapping around it there. So across northern Britain, gusts of 50, 60, possibly 70 miles an hour. So we do have a yellow warning in force for Friday, but because that system is developing rapidly, there's some uncertainty about the exact strength of those winds, so that could change a little bit. Let's look at Saturday now, because winds are again the key feature. If anything, the wind arrows, they're a little larger across the south. We could see a windier spell on Saturday across the south compared to Friday. But I also want to draw your attention to the change in direction by the end of Saturday. Look across northern Scotland. The winds aren't bringing mild air in from the Atlantic anymore. They're bringing cold air in from the north. And that's because that low pressure system that develops then kind of sits around in the northern North Sea, and it allows the northerly winds to pick up, and eventually they spread further south through the weekend, bringing the cold air down from beyond Iceland. And the map changes colour. From a relatively mild start this weekend, it is going to turn much colder by the time we get to Monday. So the weekend is the transition. It starts relatively mild with some rain around and those strong winds. By the end of the weekend, it's turned colder. Why the change? Well, again, we need to look at the winds high up in the atmosphere and the jet stream. Just look at the change in the jet stream. I'm going to show you Friday's chart again. This is the classic roaring across the Atlantic, bringing low pressure systems through the weekend. Just watch as the jet stream moves really far to the north. We call this an amplification of the jet stream. It's really quite dramatic, and it means our weather patterns become actually more slow moving. And in here in particular, that's where we see high pressure systems moving in, and that's what we're going to see through the course of Sunday and into Monday. This high toppling across the UK, it will turn colder, but with the high pressure moving in, it will be largely dry. So that's the early part of next week. What happens next, though? That's also going to provide quite a bit of interest. The position of the high is key, and it looks like the high pressure will move in and then move to the north. And that allows the winds to start to switch direction. Instead of coming down straight from the north, they're now coming in more from the northeast. And as we go through the middle of next week, that high topples into Scandinavia, the winds start to come in more from the North Sea. And that process continues through Wednesday and into Thursday. There's the high pressure. And again, the winds now coming in more across the North Sea. Now, I'm just going to zoom out a little bit and show you the big picture, because yes, we are bringing cold air in from the mid and northern parts of Europe, but it's not especially cold. It will be colder, you will notice the difference, but it's not the exceptional cold like we had earlier this year with the beast from the east. For that, you need the blue colours that are sitting across Greenland and Canada. So yes, it will turn colder, but nothing exceptional. But colder weather in December is likely to bring some snow. Where could we see it next week? Well, most likely with those winds coming from the North Sea in the east, probably not on the coast itself. North Sea is still relatively warm, but inland, chiefly at this stage over the hills, but there could well be some at low levels, particularly at night. Now, at the moment, it doesn't look like we're going to see any large areas of precipitation bringing widespread snow at this stage. And I do stress at this stage, this is a week away. Things can change. There is the potential there as things turn colder. At the moment, though, that's the main feature through the middle part of next week. Beyond that, well, there's still a bit of a scrap going on. Milder weather may try and push in to the west, but at the moment, it looks like it will probably stay on the cold side with a continuation of frost and ice. Lots going on. There are already warnings in force for the next few days. Make sure you keep up to date with the forecast. You can do that through the Met Office website, or of course, follow us on social media.